Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're having a great day. I'm doing all right. And I'm just going to do a quick reaction into this video that I found. It was the best one I could find for the amount of time that it was. It's only 11 minutes and 22 seconds. And it's called Spirituality versus Religion, a Deep Analysis. And it's from the Curious Minds 3883, or just the Curious Minds, but their handle is that. So let's get into it because I want to look into this because I embrace both religion and spirituality. But when you're growing up, they usually tell you, oh, you can pick one if you want, religion or spirituality, because it's religion versus spirituality. But in actuality, you can embrace both or neither as well. You can get religion and spirituality, or none of the above. So there's four options when they're trying to have you assume that there's only two options. So let's get into this, okay?
For the majority of my life, I was opposed to all forms of religion. I thought their magical ways of thinking and their faith was ridiculous, and I believed science was the ultimate way of thinking and could be used to explain everything. And I believed that because science couldn't prove that there's a creator or a higher power, I simply denied its existence. When I would hear the word spirituality, I just associated it with religion. I hardly even made a distinguishment between the two. For me, science was my rock, and in a sense, it was kind of like my religion. I wholeheartedly believed in its ability to explain everything, and I would never venture beyond it when I sought answers for whatever I wanted to know. Science was keeping me in a box. It was limiting my ways of thinking, just as religion limits our ways of thinking. Now, science is a lot different than religion. In science, there is nothing to worship. Science goes out and proves things using cold, hard evidence. Science is great, and what's discovered scientifically should not be denied. But as I made my way through life, I slowly began to realize there are things that science cannot explain, things that science could never even begin to attempt to explain. We as humans are limited.
Right now, Resilia oil of oregano is available for the lowest price of the year, up to
Never even begin to attempt to explain. We as humans are limited. Our brains are not perfect, and it would be incredibly foolish to think we could know everything. Science can't explain how I am conscious. Science can't explain why I am occupying this body at this moment in this time. If we take all the knowledge in the universe, science probably can't even explain 1% of it. And as I slowly began to have this realization, I realized that everything that's ever happened led me to where I am today. One small difference, and I am not sitting here making this video for you guys to enjoy. I was realizing how divine the universe is and how interconnected it all is. And I began to question literally everything beyond science. And it's when this happened that I realized I was becoming a very spiritual person. I no longer associated spirituality with religion. In fact, I now knew how foolish it was to have made this comparison, because really, spirituality and religion are so much different from each other. So for this video, we will be going over the differences as well as the similarities between spirituality and religion. We all know what religion is. I don't think I really have to give a definition explaining that term. But when it comes to spirituality, it's hard to actually put a definition to it. The dictionary defines spirituality as the quality of being concerned with the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things. While this isn't a terrible definition, I think the term can be explained a little better. From conducting research online, I found a few other definitions people gave that I think explain it better. Here they are. Spirituality is the aspect of humanity that refers to the way individuals seek and express meaning and purpose in the way they experience their connectedness to the moment, to self, to others, to nature, to the significant or sacred. Spirituality means any experience that is thought to bring the experiencer into contact with the divine. The spiritual dimension tries to be in harmony with the universe and strives for answers about the infinite and comes into focus when the person faces emotional stress, physical illness, or death. So hopefully these definitions helped you better understand the term. I basically like to think of spirituality as connecting to something higher than yourself, God, the divine, the universe, the source, whatever you want to call it. And in order to make that connection, constantly have that connection, you need to never stop asking questions. And if you want, when you receive whole or partial answers to your questions, you can somehow try to integrate them into your life. So when it comes to religion and spirituality, spirituality may incorporate elements of religion, but in general, spirituality refers to a much broader concept. I like to think of spirituality as encompassing religion. Take a look at this graphic to understand the concept better. So all religions formed from the sense of wanting to connect to something higher than ourselves. Every culture
I like this right here. This is stating that everybody who's religious is spiritual. So that's why I hate the divide with like, you have to pick one. Are you religious or spiritual? Dude, everybody who's religious is spiritual, but not everybody who's spiritual is religious. See? As you see, there's a big part of this circle that exists in spirituality, in the spiritual field, that doesn't have the circle of the religion. So, but the religion circle is within the spiritual circle, as you can see in this graph.
in human history has some form of connecting to the divine. There has not ever been a group of humans who did not express some way of connecting to something greater. Being in wonder and awe of the universe is a key element of being human. So already realize that in some form you are spiritual, even though you may not consider yourself to be. So what we as humans do is we try to find answers to things, and when we think we found the answer to something, it becomes a belief. And this collective buildup of beliefs over time is sort of how a religion forms. And these beliefs that only one or a few people had get shared, and these messages spread, and then all of a sudden, here in the 21st century, we have billions of people following religions such as Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hinduism, and many more. But the way of thinking in religion is limited, thus why the circle of religion is encompassed in the circle of spirituality in the graphic. For example, followers of the Christian faith are always relating their sense of connection to the divine to Jesus, who they believe is the Son of God, and the Bible, which is the holy book of the religion. But it would be a very spiritual act to begin questioning whether Jesus really is the Son of God, whether there really is a God at all, or if the Bible is really holy or not. A very spiritual person who has little attachment to any religion can relay their experiences in whatever way they please, because all possibilities are open in their eyes. Even non-religious parties also stem from spirituality. Science and space exploration are seeking a connection to something greater than themselves. Science, too, is in awe at the profundity of the universe and is seeking answers. That's spirituality. What I'm trying to get at here is there are no rules in spirituality. Religion says, here's the truth. And if you don't believe this truth, then you can't be a member of the religion. And back in the old days, some would say, if you don't believe this truth, then we'll kill you. With spirituality, you are not told the truth. You must discover it yourself. Famous author Deepak Chopra once wrote, religion is the belief in someone else's experience. Spirituality is having your own experience. Ancient poet Rumi once said, everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself.
Apparently, Deepak Chopra was also named in the files, so whatever, buddy. Bro, we don't like this. Bro, what on earth is going down? What is going on?
Eva Brahma can activate a wide range of new powers, abilities, and states of consciousness. We will explore 4 major secrets of sacred geometry. These secrets will guide us into learning a very powerful method which can activate any energy center in your body or energy field. You'll learn how to apply this method to activate the most important energy center in the human head.
Everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself. When you limit yourself to a religion, you close yourself off to what's beyond it. The common theme of religion is to tell you the divine is outside yourself and that you are completely separate from it. A lot of it is fear-based. You're told to put your faith in something completely unrelated to you and follow its principles in fear you'll be banished to hell after you die. There's also been quite a few wars fought over religion. I don't even want to know how many people have died in history over the mere clashing of beliefs. Highly religious individuals can get so caught up in their dogma they'll do anything to defend it. This is why you typically don't see Muslims being friends with Christians, or many Christians being friends with Hindus. Religion drives separateness. A highly spiritual individual realizes our connectedness, and instead of driving separation, is driving closeness, unity, and love.
I don't know, man, because when you're truly awake for the first time spiritually, you feel disconnected from everybody, not just one clique or one group that's different. And also to bring it back to your first point, yeah, there are a lot of people who are Christians and are friends with people who come from Judaism and stuff like that. Maybe you're right on the Muslim part because in their book, in the Quran and in the Hadiths and various texts, holy texts of theirs, it says to never be friends with a Jew or a Christian. It says if you see a Christian or a Jewish person on the side of the road, walk and make them basically have to go to the cornermost part of the street to give them as little room as possible to walk by, to make them feel uncomfortable and let them know where you stand. It recommends these things. It doesn't just say, oh, this is what somebody did in the past and it was shunned. Like in the Bible, there's stories of people doing bad things, but they get punished for it, or nothing good comes of it. You know what I mean? So it's to be a lesson for us. Whereas this is actually actively telling the reader to not be friendly towards them. So that could be the difference, you know?
So now back to the graph from earlier, but we're going to change it slightly. So we talked about how religion is included within the spirituality circle, as it is a limited way of thinking. If being in the religion circle represents a limiting way of thinking, then embodying the greater outer circle represents limitless, completely unbiased thinking. All possibilities are fair game. It's infinite. Well, it is practically impossible to have limitless and completely unbiased ways of thinking. As a human, we're biased, and it's impossible not to be. We all have our own circle within the greater circle. Some of our circles are smaller than others. Some are bigger than others. But it's impossible not to have a circle that's smaller than the greater circle, if that makes sense. If you've thrown religion out the window, then you may have a bigger circle than someone who is a priest, but you're still not anywhere close to the greater circle. Rather than the gaining of beliefs, spirituality is the breaking down of beliefs, and this includes the belief of the existence of the self. You probably identify with being human. You believe that whatever name you have is who you are. Maybe you identify with the color of your skin or your nationality. You're always living life in terms of your survival. You want to keep living, but why is that? Deep levels of spirituality questions that and seeks to transcend it, and recognizes that living life in itself is limiting, because you're always viewing the world and how it can serve you. Embodying this greater circle may be seen as enlightenment or nirvana, and embodying this is what many people who identify as Buddhists are seeking. But of course, that's counterintuitive, as if one was truly in a state of nirvana, they would have transcended all labels of themselves and would no longer consider themselves to be Buddhist or whatever the labels they have of themselves. So to sum things up, spirituality is a broad concept which mainly includes a sense of connection to something higher than ourselves and involves a search of meaning in life. And religion is encompassed within this concept, but is a much more limited, dogmatic way of thinking. So my life advice to you is to have an as big circle as possible. You probably will not be able to embody this absolute circle, but if you stay as open-minded as possible, never stop asking questions, and never cease to be in awe of the magic of this universe, you'll probably have a pretty big personal circle. The bigger circle you have, the less separateness you'll be creating in this world, and that will go a long way in reducing the suffering of life here on Earth. The more people turning inwards and looking inside themselves for divinity, the more people that will see we're all one, and that we're all the same. It's non-duality. The only boundaries that exist are the ones we create in our minds. I imagine some religious people who follow me might have been salty and unsubscribed, and that's fine. Our lives are...
Like he mentioned, oneness versus duality. So they always want to paint everything as being in a dualistic state of nature. You're either Republican or Democrat or whatever. You know, you're either liberal or conservative. All these things and stuff like that, right? And you can actually have qualities from both sides. You don't have to be always fit into this little box. Like, you know what I mean? Think outside the box. Okay?
Utterly run by feelings, and also for those very rational-minded, likely atheistic people, which I used to be, who believe science is the ultimate truth and that this video is still bullshit, recognize that your dismissal of something greater or order within the universe is a claim solely based on feeling, and that your clinging to rationality is in fact in itself irrational. I hope this video was insightful, and I really hope that the whole circle analogy wasn't too confusing and made sense. So if it made sense, please let me know in the comments so I know I'm not stupid. It's amazing how much this channel has blown up in the past few months, and it makes me so happy to know that there are 22,000 people out there enjoying my content. That's an absurd number. I just launched a Patreon, so if you want to support the channel more, I'll be hosting a book club on there for $3 a month, where we will be voting on a book to read each month and about topics we go over on this channel. I have other tiers too, where there will be more benefits and more content. So check it out if you're interested. That's all I got for today, and as always, have a great day, and peace.
So that was pretty cool. I'll switch vertical and go back to it as I continue to talk to you. Okay. But yeah, in conclusion, I would say that was pretty cool and pretty good. I think if you have more thoughts on that topic, check it out because I have older videos on this channel where I talk about religion versus spirituality, and I say it could be religion and spirituality, or maybe for you it's neither or none of the above. But you're not limited to just one or the other. You can embrace both, and it's great, and that's what I do. But yeah, other than that, that's all I got on this topic. So until next time, stay safe, be blessed, and live lavishly. And just know that I'm going to see all of you in the next video. Thanks so much for stopping by, and until then, just know that I love you all. Peace.